My first main console was a PlayStation 2. I remember playing so much Star Wars Battlefront, both Battlefronts, all the LEGO games, and this was until I got an Xbox 360 for Christmas one year. And then that became my main console. I had that thing for so long, and it also introduced me to achievements and completing games. Which may sound like kind of stupid, but before, when you're a kid, you just kind of play games to play them. You don't really care about doing much else. But then I got introduced to achievements, and I was really enthralled by them. I really liked the idea of having like a set challenge and setting out to do everything I can in a game and getting something to show for it. In Xbox's case, it was a gamer score. On my first Xbox account, I had 20,000 gamer score and completed a few games. I can't really remember which ones though, because I ended up losing that account and then I had to make another one. The second account I made, I started to care way less about achievement hunting and completing games in general. In fact, I only had 100% completion for 2 games on my second account, and the rest of the gamer score I have on that account is just from casually playing games over the years. I bought an Xbox One basically just for Fallout 4, and this was an overall very disappointing experience. The game was not amazing, not everything I hoped it would be, and the console itself was pretty slow and clunky and not really an enjoyable experience for most of the time. That's because this was basically when Microsoft decided to stop trying, and Sony was doing big boy things over on PlayStation. They had Spider-Man, God of War, Uncharted, all while Xbox had like old Halo games and Xbox Game Pass. When the PS5 was announced and I saw the controller and all the bells and whistles it had, I was so excited for it. And me and my friend instantly started camping all these pre-order websites that we could. And I was so excited to experience all these games I never could before. We spent all night on November 11th fighting all the other bots and other people trying to get the 5 available PS5s worldwide, until we finally found some on the London Drugs website of all places. We both placed our orders at around 12:30 a.m. on November 12th, 2020, and 6 days later on the 18th, while I was baking cookies, my PS5 arrived. I set it up and instantly started playing Call of Duty Cold War and bought Spider-Man and downloading it at the same time while eating some cookies. While playing through Spider-Man, I discovered the trophy system and found it really interesting, especially the idea of getting a trophy for getting every other trophy. It's like a nice reward for completing a game and something I can point to and say, oh, I got this, I did everything in this game. So I decided to start trophy hunting. As of recording this video, I have 19 platinum trophies, and in this video I will go over the first 5 platinums I obtained, along with my thoughts about the games and the trophy grind in each respective game. I will go over the rest in future videos and eventually make more in-depth videos on the trophy experience in specific games. Rather than doing 5 games in one video, I might just do one video on one specific game. One day I might even stream myself playing these games. So let's get into it. Here are the first 5 platinum trophies I got on the PS5. So to get into our first game that I platinumed, it was Spider-Man for the PS4, even though I was playing on the PS5. I platinumed it on December 7th, 2020, and it took 32 in-game hours over the course of 3 weeks. This was the game I was most excited to play when I got my PS5, since it was a Sony exclusive and I'd been on Xbox the past 2 generations. And honestly, the gameplay is amazing, combat is really smooth, and it feels natural, especially as like more moves are unlocked throughout the game. Web slinging and just like swinging around the city is incredibly fun. Like, I've just done it for hours just with no goal in mind. I just like do it because it feels so fun. This is one of the games where I've like never fast traveled. Like, I don't think I remember fast traveling a single time, even when I was like rushing to do something, because I was just like perfectly fine with just like web slinging around. The graphics are really good in this game. It looks amazing. I was playing it on the performance version with ray tracing on that has 60 frames per second, but there is like a vitality version that's capped at 30 frames per second, and it like looks a little bit better, so you could probably use that for like screenshots and stuff. But for like actually playing the game, I was like perfectly happy with my 60 frames per second. Like, I play with 60 frames on every single game. I would never play 30 FPS on the PlayStation. Like, a game has 30 FPS and I just like will not play it. The audio and music is really good. The theme when you're like web slinging around and fighting is like amazing. Like it's so fun and immersive. It makes me feel like I'm in like a movie or something like that. The story is really good. It's pretty long, but like it never really felt like it was dragging to me. Like even like some missions that I wasn't a fan of, like I didn't really hate. Like there's games out there that are like far worse and far more like dragging. Like it's just like this game is not one of them for me, at least. Some people might have a different opinion, but for me it was pretty strong throughout. It had so many fun moments and missions. Not to spoil the ending, but it's like a heartbreaking ending. It's brutal. Overall, it was a really fun game. The combat and swinging are really fun and feel really good, almost like natural, if that's even possible. I don't know how else to describe it. It just feels like second nature almost, especially if you've like watched any of the movies or like playing any other Spider-Man games. Like it just feels really good. The platinum was mostly just playing the story and then doing all these side missions and collecting all the collectibles. So it was just like completionist, nothing really too crazy. None of the challenges were really that difficult either. Some miscellaneous trophies were around too, such as getting all the different suits or climbing to the top of the Avengers building. And actually unlocking all the spider suits was the last trophy that I got. I didn't 100% this game because I didn't have the DLC at the time, and I still don't. But honestly, with like the new game coming out in October, I think like a week after my birthday, I might go back and 100% and get that DLC. And the overall game and platinum trophy grind experience was great. Honestly, like this game's unbelievable. It was probably one of my favorite games that I platinumed. 10 out of 10. Next up, the second game that I platinumed on my PS5 was Astro's Playroom, the free game that comes installed with every PS5. I platinumed it on December 18th, 2020, and it took 6 in-game hours over the period of 4 weeks, because I guess I was just jumping between games. This game was honestly a great introduction to the PS5 and the new DualSense controller, along with like all the things that they added to the controller, like the adaptive triggers and the touchpad and the motion controls. Like the demo that they had, which was like the first thing I did on this PlayStation, was just like, it blew me away. Like it was so like crazy to me that like they could add like resistance to a trigger. And I know like the touchpad on like a controller isn't like nothing crazy, but like the way they integrated that was just really cool. It actually implemented like every feature of the new controller in a really cool way into like this fun little platforming game. The game looks really pretty. It has a ton of details in the levels, especially for like a free game. It's kind of surprising how much like effort they put into this. Like there's a ton of Easter eggs in the game as well. I didn't even recognize half of them because they're for like PlayStation games that I didn't have the opportunity to play forever because I was on Xbox. I did catch some of them, like the Metal Gear ones, but like most of them just like went right over my head. The audio and music is really good. It's just a very happy sounding soundtrack. The theme that plays on the home screen of the PS5 is really nice as well. Like it's really calming, and like sometimes I just like leave it on there if I'm not really doing anything on my PS5. I just like leave it on like Astro's Playroom on the home screen, and it plays like the little jingle it has, and it's like pretty nice. There's no really like story or anything. Like it's just a basic simple platformer, but you are playing like through the PS5. There's a level where you're in the cooling fans, and another one like where you're in the graphics card. Very creative. I never really thought of like a game being like inside a console, and like when you're like moving around, especially in like the main hub, you can see that you're on the inside of the PS5. So yeah, that was just like really fun. This was just a really fun and creative game. Like the movement and platforming was pretty good feeling and smooth. Just a very happy and like positive, fun experience with this game, especially with the controller and how they integrated it. Getting the platinum trophy was just playing through all the levels while collecting everything, and then doing the speedrun trophies and some miscellaneous cleanup trophies. You can get everything in each level as you go through them. Like you never really have to double back unless you miss something, but it's not like they're like locked behind anything. It's pretty easy to get to. The speedrun achievements made me pretty nervous at first, but they're really not that bad, and like the levels are pretty easy and you can get a decent enough time for the trophy. There were also some like pretty unique achievements. One of which was using this spin punch move to like send 10 of these little dudes that follow you around or all over the game flying. There was like a lot of like fun little achievements like that that are just like do this like dumb little thing. Overall, this whole game and the platinum experience was really good. Like, this was a fun game to play in platinum. It wasn't too difficult and it didn't take too long, so 10 out of 10. Moving on to the third game that I platinumed. This game was Spider-Man Miles Morales. I platinumed it on December 18th, 2020, and if you were paying attention, this is the second one I did on that day, so I guess I was feeling busy. Took 15 in-game hours over the course of 4 weeks, and honestly, I really enjoyed this game. They did a really good job at building upon the first game and adding some new mechanics and animations for Miles to make it feel like it's like own little game and not just like a spin-off of the first Spider-Man game. The gameplay is really fun, just like the first game, and combat might even feel better with the new mechanics that they added for this game. And Miles just feels really overpowered sometimes. Like, it's just really satisfying to play with. It looks as good, if not better, than the first game. I really love the look of New York in the winter instead of the summer. It really was like scratching the itch as I was like going back and recording footage for these games to like go to New York, because I've never been over there. And just like playing these games like really makes me want to go like take a trip over there for like a weekend sometime. The audio and music is really good, just like the first game. They did switch up to a more hip-hop style of theme for Miles as he was swinging around. The story was not as great for me as it was in the first game, honestly. I wasn't that interested in the villains aside from the Prowler, but the Tinker was just like pretty uninteresting for me. Like, I just didn't really like the character at all. But it was still a pretty good story overall. Like, I very much enjoyed it. I even had to like play it twice for a New Game Plus run, and I still enjoyed it in that run. This was a really fun game, just like the first one. I like highly recommend it to anyone out there who wants to play like a fun little game. It's not too long either. Like I said, it took only 15 hours for me to platinum it, and like again, it just makes me really excited for the new game that's coming out, because as far as I can tell, I don't think they've confirmed it or anything, or maybe they have. But you'll be able to play as both Miles and Peter Parker Spider-Man in that game. Or at least I hope so. The platinum was obtained by just playing the story mostly, and then getting 100%, just like clearing and getting all the collectibles, doing all the side missions, and then you had to complete the game on New Game Plus, but you didn't have to 100%. You just had to like finish the story, which doesn't really take that long. There are some like more difficult achievements, like getting 100 times hit combo and clearing a baseball undetected, but there are like bases that you can do this pretty easily in. I know I was like worried about it when I first saw it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. But there's like a few bases that are just pretty much made for these trophies, so it wasn't that bad of an experience at all. This game and platinum experience was amazing, and I'm just so excited for that new game to come out. 10 out of 10.
Hey Ma, you busy?
Not too busy. What's going on?
The next game I platinumed was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, this game, I platinumed it on January 6th, 2021. Nothing else of note happened on January 6th. It took 105 in-game hours over the course of 2.5 weeks, so I kind of grinded this one out a little bit. Maybe too much even. This was my first Assassin's Creed game that I fully played since Black Flag, which came out in 2013. So that was a while ago, and this was also, because of that, my first RPG style Assassin's Creed game, and overall I was not a fan. Even though I platinumed it, I just like, it was okay during the game, but I don't think I could see myself playing any of the other RPG Assassin's Creed. This game was just way too big and long for no good reason as far as I could tell. I did not get 100% on this game once the DLCs came out, because I don't want to play this game again. Even when I was going back to get footage for this video, I was not having a good time. The controls seemed dumb to me. Every other game I kind of picked up the controls and was like, it was almost natural. And even though I played like 15 hours of Miles Morales, like that game, I understood it way better than this game that I had 105 hours in. The gameplay felt pretty good though. Like, the fighting is fun and satisfying sometimes. Like once I got the hang of it, it was like pretty satisfying, especially because I had like the overpowered like end game equipment, so I was just like bashing dudes with Thor's hammer. But this isn't really an assassin game, it's more of a Viking game, which isn't a bad thing. Like I love Vikings and like that whole area, but sometimes like the two ideas would clash, I remember, and it's like they're trying to do stealth, but it just doesn't really work. The game looks really good though. Like the graphics and environments are beautiful. I took so many screenshots while playing. I took screenshots in this game. I didn't take screenshots in like basically any other game I platinumed. Like I took like scenic shots in this game because I was like, wow, this is like an incredible view. Like they did a really good job with the map. It's still too big, but they did a really good job with the map. The story had its interesting moments, and like I love the setting since I'm a history nerd, but it just like dragged sometimes. Like it was not fun sometimes and just so long for no reason. Like there was a lot of wasted like filler quests that just like were not enjoyable. It had its fun moments, but it was just spaced out a little bit too much. Halfway through the game, I was starting to like not really enjoy it. Like I was just kind of pushing through because I was like, well, I'm already this far in, I'm gonna platinum it, and I was like pretty motivated still because it was just like I didn't really enjoy most of it. It was just like walking around finding stuff and then moving on, like doing the next area, finding stuff, doing the quests, and just not a very fun loop. But I guess that's the way it goes with these platinum trophies sometimes. Platinum, you get it by finishing the story and then clearing every area. You have to kill every Order of the Ancients member, which are these like little faction guys that are just randomly around the map, and sometimes you have to do a quest to get the higher ups, and then you do some random cleanup tasks like playing Orlog, like the board game, maxing your settlement, and catching like every fish there is in the game. Some of the more random trophies that I got and I had to kind of like work for were killing 3 guys that are higher level than you while on fire. That one was kind of fun to do. And the other one I had was a trophy for getting thrown over 30 meters. This was like a pretty funny trophy to me. Overall, the game experience was like alright. I'm complaining a lot about it in this video, but I wouldn't have played it for 105 hours if I didn't at least enjoy it a little bit. But it was just way too big and way too long for no reason. Like there is so much filler content in this game. They could have cut down like 80% of it and the game would have been a lot more enjoyable. But the setting of England, Norway, and even Vinland were really beautiful. The views and the gameplay had their moments sometimes. This game also had a lot of bugs that could break trophies. Like they could just like make a collectible not be available to get, and that could just break the 100% trophy. So I had to be saving constantly, so that was kind of a pain. I am kind of looking forward to the new Mirage game that's going to be coming out. It looks like they're kind of going back to more of the classic style. So that's pretty exciting to me. Overall, AC Valhalla, 6 out of 10. And with that, we come to the 5th game that I platinumed and the last that we'll go over in this video. Ghost of Tsushima. I platinumed it on January 30th, 2021. This platinum trophy took 62 hours in-game over a period of 2 weeks. And honestly, this is a really beautiful looking game and a very fun and unique experience. I didn't get the extra achievements for 100% as I wasn't really interested in multiplayer or co-op. The gameplay was really fun and the combat was super satisfying. You have to clear the map for the platinum trophy here as well, just like in every game basically, but this was nowhere near the pain that was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think I definitely enjoyed this game a lot more because I was coming from Valhalla. The graphics and the setting was really beautiful. I loved the look of the island, and they also have a few options that you can use, like a old Japanese samurai movie filter. You can have like the black and white color palette. That was really cool. I played with that for a little bit, but not the whole game. The audio and music are amazing. It made me feel like very immersed into the world that they created here. It was just very beautiful sounding and very calm and mellow, and especially when you were fighting, it was just super intense. It was awesome. The story was really, really, really good. I loved it a lot, and the way that like Jin, the main character, transformed throughout this game from like this defeated samurai to like this almost like mythical god at the end. I feel like it did have some filler content sometimes, but like after AC Valhalla, like nothing is gonna compare to that thing. It also had a lot of fun moments. I really loved exploring the island, just like finding random stuff and looking at like the scenery. And I loved the duels and the standoffs you can do in this game were so fun. Platinum was nothing too crazy. You obtain it by finishing the story, and then you liberate the island from the Mongols. So you have to like clear some camps, and then you have to find all the collectibles and do some side missions. There wasn't really anything crazy for trophies. Even the miscellaneous ones are just like unlocking everything, and everything can be done just by playing the story and getting 100% essentially. Overall, this was a very good game experience, and the platinum was pretty fun as well. Like 100%ing it wasn't a drag or anything. It was slow at moments, but overall it was an amazing game and setting, and had a very fun gameplay and good trophies. 9 out of 10. So those were the first 5 platinum trophies that I got. Hopefully somewhat soon I'll have a video up on the next 5 platinum trophies that I got. This was the first video I made in almost 8 years, and it's been a really fun experience. I almost feel like a kid again, and I kind of want to do videos and videos like this more often. We'll kind of see how it works out because of like work and life, but this was really fun, so I'm going to try to do it more often and see what happens. Like I mentioned before, I might also look into streaming me playing the games while trying to platinum, so if I do, I'll probably post something letting you guys know where that would be. Please let me know what you thought of this video, good or bad, any feedback, any suggestions, anything like that. I am all ears, along with any games you think I should try to platinum. Thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed.